With their ordeal in the remote Scottish Highlands over, the students are on the move to their next training school. By early 1943, the Allies had won decisive battles in Russia and North Africa. But most of mainland Europe was still under Nazi control. SOE had already helped thwart Hitler's nuclear weapons program by destroying a Norwegian power station and had assassinated several senior Nazis. But with a major Allied invasion of Europe at least a year away, the organization escalated their strategy of attacking the German war machine from within. In Britain, over 700 new recruits were now undergoing their top-secret training program, with many already through to the final stage, finishing school. The 8 remaining students will complete their training at a country house near Aberdeen.
So do you think we're all going to be getting new identities and new names to learn for each other?
At finishing school, students were given the technical skills they would need to become secret agents. From codes and ciphers to burglary and sabotage. They also learned how to live undercover, how to adopt a secret identity, and avoid detection by the enemy. This was a spy school.
Okay, find yourselves a bed space. Flashing up.
There was a door with cryptography written on it, so that's at least one thing we know.
We've proved that we can cope with the physical stuff, so can we cope with the mental pressure? That's the next question they have to answer.
Yes. I'd be very surprised if we all finish.
For the instructors, finishing school was one of the final opportunities to weed out students unsuitable for the dangerous, covert, and vital nature of SOE's work.
You cannot send somebody out into the field who does not have the skills in order to survive. The reality is that many of them did die, and many of them died horribly. So the responsibility is on us to get it right.
Instructors Adrian Wheel, Mike Rennie, and Nicky Moffat have split the group in 2. Sammy, Debbie, Alistair, and Magda have been selected to receive special training in sending and receiving wireless messages.
I think Stanley strikes me as a potentially very strong wireless operator. He's got the right sort of brain to mass equally.
Rob, Rohini, Will, and Lizzie will be taught how to pick locks and break into buildings unseen.
The charge in the locksmithing group, that's a good choice, I think. Her attention to detail will really help her with that.
Copsey has some engineering training from his military service, so he should understand the mechanics of it, we would hope.
The students will have just 2 days to prove they have mastered their specialisms before training moves on.
My name's Martin, and my speciality is getting into places.
SOE taught students the skills to break into buildings, to plant explosives, or steal valuable documents. Covert entry expert Martin Newton teaches his skills to security organisations around the world.
OK, so the first exercise that we're going to do is to reproduce this key. He's actually the key to the door at the back of the room.
The first step is to make a mould of the key.
Corporal Forsyth, would you lock the door for me from the outside and remove the key? Yes. The only way to be out of this room is to use the key that you produce.
The race is on to make a key that fits. Former paratrooper Rob is hoping this will be his chance to shine.
I like to tinker with tools. I do DIY at home. This is good. I'm enjoying this. I'm a more practical person. Well, I think I am.
But for others, this is uncharted territory.
I've never done any kind of DIY or putting nails in walls or anything like that, so it's still very new.
Don't be shy with it, Rohini.
This is very different to everything I've ever done before. I've got a few handymen that come round to my flat to sort me out, but yeah.
I thought we had more of them in the room.
Having struggled with certain aspects of SOE training so far, Rohini needs to impress at finishing school.
I think you have to be meticulous with it. You have to get the measurements just right, because 1 millimetre out and you won't get out of the room.
As well as being used to break into places, these skills could also be used to get agents out of tricky situations. Captured SOE operative Robert Shepard found himself in a Lyon hospital with a police guard on the door. He made an impression of his window key in a bar of soap which was smuggled out by hospital staff. A key was fashioned and passed back to Shepard, allowing him to escape.
I'm trying to work out who is going to get me out of this room.
After 40 minutes, Rob is first to try the door.
This one, yeah. It's going in. It's not turning.
If it's not turning, it's too wide.
Research scientist Lizzie Jeffries has taken 5 minutes longer to finish her key, but is first to unlock the door.
We've got a winner! Yay. Do you know that works like a key? Well done.
Thank you.
Well done, Liz.
Thank you. It was actually really fun and very satisfying when the key turned. I was like, yes, success.
After adjusting his key, Rob makes it through.
Right, that's 3, OK.
As does Will.
Right, thanks.
But even after 2 attempts, Rohini's key still fails to turn and the test is over.
I look round at everyone else in the group and I feel like they deserve to be here because they, really good at picking locks. I don't think I've quite found my niche yet as an SOE agent.
Upstairs, the rest of the students are being introduced to the most dangerous job in SOE.
You have been selected as potential wireless operators and coders. This might not sound as glamorous as raids and sabotage, but your role was the most important role carried out by SOE agents.
By February 1943, SOE had sent over 500 agents into the field. With so much activity underway, wireless operators became all the more crucial, receiving orders from SOE headquarters in London and relaying intelligence and requests for supplies. To be successful operators, the students must learn how to assemble a radio, send messages in Morse, and memorize a secret code to keep their broadcasts secure. Leading the session is Gary Hearn, who trained with the Royal Signals.
So, the wireless, a wonderful piece of technology. Mark II B2 suitcase wireless, developed by SOE's specialist station, Station 9, near Welling.
The B2 was everything an agent needed to communicate with London, neatly packed inside a suitcase.
Turn this down until that needle reaches its lowest point. That's tuned your antenna and your radio system.
The technology was cutting edge, but just turning the radio on placed the operator in mortal danger.
In the background?
Yeah, pretty much.
Every time you transmitted, the Germans would be listening out to try and find out where you were transmitting from.
Faced with ever-increasing acts of sabotage and resistance in what should have been conquered territories, the Nazis would stop at nothing to capture and execute SOE's agents. This game of cat and mouse left wireless operators particularly vulnerable. The Nazis established a network of listening stations across Europe to lock on to SOE frequencies and triangulate their source. Then, mobile direction finding units, sometimes disguised as tradesmen's vans, would scour the streets to pinpoint the signal. Every minute the agent broadcast, the net was closing in. Some early radios were powered by mains electricity, but the Germans realized they could locate agents simply by turning off power, one block at a time, till the signal cut out. SOE quickly switched to batteries.
It took about 30 minutes for a transmission to be narrowed down so that Germans could try and find you.
30 minutes?
30 minutes, 3-0. And that's why the average lifespan of a wireless operator was roughly 6 weeks.
For Magda, this lesson is particularly poignant.
It's just because my grandfather used this kind of equipment. And I've never seen it before.
That's what my grandfather used to do, as a wireless operator, wasn't he?
Magda's grandfather, Viktor Gilewicz, worked for the Polish resistance and kept a secret radio in the family home. As a small child, Magda's father remembers hearing the sound of the wireless emanating from the room next door.
I knew that he was, but now seeing this piece of equipment and just realizing how difficult task it was and how dangerous. He started in the beginning of 1940s and he operated until November 44 when he was arrested by Soviets then. It makes me proud, really.
Yes. If your grandfather lasted for 4.5 years, then he was a very good operator.
Yes, before it was for me just an information on a piece of paper, and now it's all comes to life. It's all physical, so thank you for that.
When you've got a wireless operator in the SOE environment where mentally they're really trying to capture that Morse sound, and at the same time, everything outside of them is hostile, and they know they may only have 30 minutes before the direction finder gets them. That's a phenomenally difficult job.
The lock-picking group have spent the last few hours learning how to make tools out of bicycle spokes and fence wire, items easily found in 1940s occupied Europe.
We're going in at 7 o'clock and pushing down.
They've also learned the basics of how to pick a lock.
You've gone too far into the lock, towards me. There will be a temptation for you to turn it. And what we're actually doing is pushing.
Agents were even taught how to escape from a pair of handcuffs using only a hairpin.
There it is.
Have you used these cuffs before, Rob?
I've been in them before.
Have you? Why?
That's another story.
Oh, gosh.
The group have mastered all the locks in the classroom. But now Colonel Wheel wants to test them under pressure.
So here's the scenario. You've been captured and you're being held temporarily in this courtyard while they get the torture cells ready. You've got a maximum of 10 minutes to get yourselves out of here and get away.
Rahini, one of your wrists. So the route out, everybody off of here and through the red door. Simple.
Your 10 minutes starts now.
Okay, I've got a free hand. Where do you want me to get your clips from?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm out so I can help someone else.
They're out. 2 of them anyway.
Should I go and work on the door?
Rohini and Will escape the cuffs in under a minute.
Good skills.
Do you feel it then? Gotcha. Got it? Yeah.
Rob and Lizzie are also free with 8 minutes remaining.
Somebody else can have a go. I'm catching it, but I can't turn it.
That's actually good thinking by Beresford Davis there, trying to get the window open.
They are looking at the wider problem, so good for them.
With half their time gone, Rob is struggling with the lock.
Slowly does it, Roma. Slowly does it.
Yeah, I can hear it.
They're picking the lock and they're pulling it towards them, and what they need to be doing is pushing it towards me.
Someone else want to have a try?
With 3 minutes to go, Lizzie takes over.
This could be it.
Yes! Don't come. Go.
It felt pretty good to be the one who got to open that door. It's really satisfying when you kind of get that sweet spot and click, and it goes.
Lizzie, very well done, excellent. I saw the pit come in, I saw it go to exactly where it needed to go, and I saw the lock open. Fantastic.
I'm made up for Lizzie because that was really good for her. It would have been great if I'd opened the door first time, because maybe they're thinking, out of the four, Lizzie's now the locksmith.
Skills like these kept SOE agents alive, so you really do need to practice them and practice them and practice them until they're second nature.
Handcuffs? Okay.
In the classroom, having got to grips with the equipment, now the wireless group need to know what to say.
All right, get into your sending positions. Go.
Originally developed for telegraph machines in the 1830s, Morse code was the language of choice for all SOE wireless communication. For one very good reason. Based around dots and dashes, or as they're known by the military, dits and das, these simple sounds required less power to transmit than the human voice, meaning signals could travel much greater distances.
Accuracy before speed, always.
The students have been learning the Morse alphabet in their downtime. But this is their first attempt at sending and receiving messages.
Anybody want to offer?
We are learning Morse.
That was good.
That was quick.
That was very good.
That was quick.
In Morse code, the kind of transmission speeds that were expected were upwards of 20, 25 words a minute. And we were working between about 8 and 12.
Sending Morse requires speed, accuracy, and dexterity.
Your message has got to be clear and it's got to be right, otherwise you'll be sending somebody right into the hands of the Germans.
Whilst receiving requires concentration, quick thinking, and an excellent knowledge of the Morse alphabet.
Are we
Yeah,
having
yeah.
noodles?
No.
Fun.
Yeah, fun, yeah.
I got R fun and Ving. Are we Ving fun?
Sami Ali was a natural at sending Morse. But receiving presents a tougher challenge.
I've got this house.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, you got it.
Well done.
Mm.
Do you struggle?
Terrible. Any hint of speed, I just lose track.
What you've got to do is just blank it from your mind and carry on going.
Former soldier Sami was given a commendation for bravery in Afghanistan and has already shown great courage during training.
What are you afraid of?
Other than my mother, I'm scared of being that person that didn't succeed. Not like in terms of money or what you have, not materialistic, but I don't want to feel that I failed myself. I'm very black and white. It's either a pass or a fail.
What's your view about how competent they are?
All four of them would be well ahead in the game. They are at that level.
Really mentally exhausting. Yeah, it's so tiring, really is tiring on your brain.
Stanley in particular is a natural. Obviously he's got a computing, mathematical type background, so this sort of thing clearly comes quite easily to him.
In the SOE environment, he would be one that they would push it hard to get out early into the field. They were desperate for wireless operators. They would want him out there quickly.
The need to deploy as many competent agents as possible was ever more pressing. In June 1943, SOE launched its largest operation of the war so far. The Allies had decided to attack the Germans through Italy, what Churchill called the soft underbelly of Europe. To help give the troops a fighting chance, SOE planned a diversion on an epic scale and began a campaign of sabotage across neighbouring Greece, blowing bridges, attacking telephone lines, and fooling the Nazis into thinking Greece was the real target. When the Allies landed in Sicily, Hitler and Mussolini were caught off guard. The island was quickly liberated and the troops pushed on into Italy. SOE's diversionary tactics had played an important role in a key Allied victory. It's day 2 of finishing school. And time to test whether the wireless group can take the techniques they've learned in the classroom and use them in the field.
Imagine you're in enemy territory. You have less than an hour to find a suitable location, to encode and to send your message. Captain Hearn will be in headquarters and he will listen to your message and reply. You have a maximum of 30 minutes, beyond which it is highly likely that the Germans will identify where you are. Clitheroe, you're the leader. Sammy, you're the radio op.
Yes, Mum.
OK, so the message begins. Poem circuit now operating. 4-person team, all secure. Ready for operations in 2 days. Message ends.
Failing to perform under pressure at finishing school could prevent a recruit from being sent on a real mission.
Just take up. I feel comfortable being an operator. I did a bit of extra practice last night.
Right, Sammy, let's get you sat in here.
I hope it's not too quick. Hope he goes easy on me, but I'll give it a good go.
After finding a camouflaged location,
Yeah.
Alistair strings the aerial wire between 2 trees. And Magda begins to encode the message.
Right, this radio's set up now.
Headphones on.
Turn it to transmit.
Back at the house, Captain Hearn is ready and waiting.
OK. I'm ready to go, Ali. 30 seconds.
Please, dit, da, da, dit.
Dit, da, da, dit. Hey, yeah. Dit, da, da, dit. Yeah. It's 11:15. We need to transmit now.
Yeah?
Yeah, go.
Sammy sends the encoded version of the message.
I've now decoded the full message. You can see words in the message, such as for that's here, you can see mill here, you can see the word secure and the word message down here. That's a very good effort. Well sent, Morse.
The students have been told to wait for a reply.
It's really strange. Your whole body feels like it's full of electricity. You don't want your team to get captured. You don't want the equipment to get captured.
If just one wireless operator was caught, the results could be disastrous for SOE. In Holland, in March 1942, the Germans captured Dutch SOE agent Huub Lauwers and forced him to continue sending messages on their behalf. Believing Lauwers to be free, SOE gave him the times and places where new agents would be dropped, unaware they were sending most to their deaths. Lauwers tried to alert London to his capture by omitting security checks from his messages, but SOE failed to spot his warnings. More than 40 SOE agents were captured and killed. The Germans called this deception of SOE the England Spiel, the England game. In the radio room, Captain Hearn sends his reply without encryption.
Message received. Message received something today. 4 words. First one being message, second one being received. Third one, not sure. 4th word today. Message received something today. So I'm just trying to figure out what it is.
Without the crucial ending, the message makes little sense.
Ali was doing brilliantly, but he just stumbled over 1 or 2 of the letters, and that's just enough to sort of throw his concentration a little bit.
For fuck's sake.
All right, calm down. Let's just think.
He just gets frustrated with himself, and his head drops a bit, and therefore everything that happens after that is probably less good than it could be. Clitheroe, You now realise that you're risking your team and the wireless set.
Right, we need to leave. We need to leave.
Now, clear the
Yeah,
road.
so stay low but quick. Come on, we need to get this down quick as possible.
Antenna clear, pull it through.
Okay, quick.
With the meaning of the message still a mystery,
I've got the wireless, Sammy.
the team returned to the house.
We got the antenna up, we found a safe place, we were camouflaged, we got the radio transmitter working, we transmitted, we received. So although I know we didn't get every letter of the message, it was a success.
But I thought it went shit from on my part. I thought it went really bad because I didn't get 100%.
Captain Hearn, what message did you receive?
Well, first of all, I thought the Morse was excellent. That was really good Morse. At a clarity and a standard that you would not expect of 2 days of training.
What message did you send?
Message received, return to HQ.
Okay.
So, was it the speed of the Morse?
Yeah.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Whilst this is called finishing school, many agents left and they were not entirely the finished article. Errors were made and that had to be expected. And therefore what was important in addition to the training was resilience, concentration, focus and that determination to continue to strive for perfection.
SOE wanted time to prepare its agents properly, but in the urgency of war sometimes had just weeks to do so. They needed complete faith that everyone they sent could adapt to the pressure, leaving the instructors with some difficult decisions to make.
They all have strengths, but now we have to be a little bit more critical of them. Bajaj is the only one I have serious concerns about.
Ali is probably the greatest concern. His skills are actually very good. He just momentarily drops focus and throws it all away.
Stanley, twice round the tree. Let's go. Come on, fast you can. Go, go, go. Here we go. Come on.
As finishing school progressed, the pressure continued to mount.
Fast you can. Come on, let's go. Ali, all the way up, all the way
Daily
down.
PT sessions ensured trainee agents maintained their high levels of fitness whilst spending so much time in classrooms. As well as their specialisms, during SOE training, students were instructed in a whole range of spycraft, such as these miniature cameras.
The Minox was literally state-of-the-art technology.
SOE even had its own so-called dirty tricks departments, where inventors dreamt up devices from pistols disguised as pipes to two-man submarines. Leading SOE historian Dr. Rod Bailey demonstrates some of the more violent gadgets issued to agents.
Go before side. Really?
The pen gun, quite a blunt instrument, short range only, one-shot device.
It's James Bond stuff, isn't it?
Exploding excrement.
Made me jump.
The idea was that an enemy vehicle would drive over the top of it and blow its wheel off.
Who thinks of putting explosives in cowpats? It's genius.
Technical skills acquired, the students entered the most important phase of their training: how to live a double life. It was at finishing school that agents were taught how to maintain a cover story.
Right, I'm now going to issue you with your identity cards. Renier?
Each student is given a fake ID card and a file containing the basic facts about their new identity.
Verge?
That was a bit strange, receiving an ID card and then having to sign your name, but then putting your fingerprint on it. That felt a bit dodgy.
Alors, Monsieur Rampal.
Merci, sir.
They must memorize every detail and embellish their backstories as much as possible.
Basically, this is learning to become a professional bender of the truth. You don't really know what they're going to ask you, and so it's try to sort of cover as many bases as you can. Otherwise, you could write War and Peace, you could write a novel here on this guy, and you're never going to remember it.
Artois.
So we grew up in Biarritz, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Biarritz.
Which is where?
South of France, southern France.
Yeah, you had it for southwest, you were going to say.
Southwest France.
Wherever possible, details of an agent's cover would be inspired by their real life.
Le Tout?
In his cover story, paralegal Will has become a student studying law.
The best lie is one that's already half true, so you're not actually struggling to remember all the things you've made up.
Julien?
Although SOE operated across the globe, from the jungles of Burma to the deserts of North Africa, these students have all been given identities suitable for an undercover life in France. With over 470 agents working there, F Section, as it was known, was one of the largest in SOE, working with the French resistance to cause chaos for the occupying Nazis.
My hometown of Lille was bombed quite early on.
Alistair Stanley excelled in wireless training, but maintaining a cover story will test a very different set of skills.
I'm very out of my comfort zone with this. Luckily, I've been given quite a quiet person who is suffering from severe psychological damage after the bombing of his hometown. After the bombing of my hometown, I should begin to put myself in those shoes.
The students have been ordered to maintain their cover throughout the rest of training.
What's your name?
Jean-Marie Renier.
Where do you live?
I currently live in Orléans, 2 Rue Trudel.
Trudel?
Trudel.
Who are your parents?
My parents are Justine and Stephanie.
Where do your 2 brothers live?
I don't have 2 brothers. I have a brother and a sister.
Despite their extensive security training, mistakes in the field were costing lives. In 1943, Anglo-Indian agent Noor Inayat Khan was sent on a mission to France. But soon after arriving in Paris, almost all of her network was arrested. She managed to evade capture for 4 months, but was eventually caught. Khan bravely withstood interrogation at the hands of the enemy, but had made one fatal mistake, keeping a notebook which contained every wireless message she had received since arriving in France. With the information, the Nazis were able to identify 7 other agents who were all caught and, like Khan, executed. While training could never recreate the true horrors of enemy interrogation, it didn't stop SOE trying. Taken when they least expected it, and sometimes ripped from their beds in the middle of the night, students were marched to a cell where they came face to face with an interrogator dressed as an officer of the Gestapo.
Papers.
Ben Simmons assesses potential army officers by putting them through high-stress interrogations.
Name?
Jacqueline Armand.
Date of birth?
1st of May, 1908.
He'll be putting Magda's cover story under intense scrutiny.
Where do you live?
Paris.
What are you doing here then?
I am on holidays.
What's the name of your father?
The name of my father is Justin. My father, sorry, it's difficult for me to talk about it because my father died just before the war.
What is your mother's name?
My mother's name is, well, she also, unfortunately, she has
What's her name?
passed away.
What is her name?
It is...
Name?
It's really difficult for me to talk about
Difficult
it.
for you to remember your
yes,
mother's name?
because they just...
You started with an M and then you went for a C. What is your mother's name? Does it start with M? Does it start with C? Or does
No,
it start
it is Stephanie.
Guard!
Staying hidden from the German security services often posed the biggest problem for SOE agents in Nazi-occupied territories. Their influence was everywhere, and they would stop at nothing to extract information. Captured agent Odette Sansom had each of her toenails pulled out one by one in an attempt to get her to talk. Charles Hargreaves, caught in Yugoslavia, was hung from the ceiling and his captors burnt his body with cigars.
Documents, papers, come on, quickly. Stand to attention when you're talking to me.
Although wartime trainees knew that their interrogators were instructors dressed in Nazi uniforms.
Live on your own?
I live in an apartment block with my family. I have a separate room.
Most students recognized the value in having their cover stories tested under pressure.
Where were you born?
South of France, southwest France, in the Pyrenees.
Where?
Biarritz.
And how long did you live there for?
Up until about 2 months ago.
So you left Biarritz 2 months ago. Where did you go next?
I started off Toulouse, Marseille, Bordeaux, to La Rochelle, up to Paris.
Hold on. Toulouse, Marseille, La Rochelle, Paris.
You missed Bordeaux before La Rochelle.
Guard! I was impressed by his ability to recall the list of towns that he'd been through, but his demeanour was as if it was a test, which obviously won't help him in the real world.
Yeah, he was going through the motions to some extent, I think.
To test whether they can think on their feet, the instructors have invented a scenario in which the students were arrested. They need to give a plausible explanation for why they were there.
You've been brought in here because the gendarme, during lunch hour yesterday, caught you in the city council headquarters, rifling through papers. What were you doing there?
I got lost. I was lost on my way home from work.
You ended up inside the office of the headquarters of the City Hall.
I went in there to see if I could find someone to help me get out. I walked past a desk and some files must have fallen off the desk.
How long have you lived in Orléans for?
2 years, sir.
2 years, and you got lost on your way home?
I went via my friend's house, who I've never visited before.
Your explanation is frankly ludicrous.
That is the truth. I got lost because I don't know the area well. I actually got...
You cannot keep telling me the same lie again and again. What is your name of the street you live on?
2 Rue Toulard.
Toulard? There is no Rue Toulard. Do you mean Rue Tudel?
Yes, the problem is I'm not very good with spellings.
You've lived there for 2 years. God!
That was very, very, very stressful. Even though I know it's not real, it seems very real.
The Toulard Tudel business would really have sunk her in a real interrogation because there is no possible explanation for getting the street in which she lived in for 2 years wrong.
What were you doing in the headquarters?
Every student has been charged with the same crime.
Why were you there?
I was looking for tourist information.
Doesn't seem very likely. In City Hall. If your intention is to stay silent throughout, your life is going to be quite short.
I'm starting up my own business selling makeup since my husband died. I'd met a couple of ladies in a cafe there that were interested in the makeup, and I wanted to find some paper. There was a door open. I walked in, there was papers on the desk. I wanted the paper to write the names and the addresses of the ladies down so that I had contacts.
Ladies?
There was 3 ladies.
What were their names?
I don't know, that's what I wanted the paper for.
I wonder whether she could have talked her way out of that one.
I thought she was very good.
Rob has employed a very different tactic.
You will have to come up with something at some point, otherwise this will go on and on. I can have you standing up for days. Last chance. Why were you there? Go! You need to start talking. Take him back to his cell. He was deciding that silence was the best option.
That's not really a sensible response.
No.
I think that would earn you a beating. Your strategy has to be to try and keep the torturers off, for as long a time as possible. They found you in the City Hall going through files. Can you explain that?
No, sir.
You can't explain that?
No, sir. They took me from the street.
Are you saying the gendarmes have lied to me?
There is a serious case to answer. He's refusing to answer it. It just adds to the suspicion against him.
A common SOE tactic was to confess to a minor crime, something that would explain guilty behaviour but throw the interrogators off the scent.
What's your explanation for this?
I was there, sir. I can't deny that. I was delivering a medicinal product for the pharmacist I work for.
What were you delivering?
I was delivering opiates for the man who works there, sir.
So you were involved in illegal activity with regards to drugs?
She's thinking creatively.
Good that she linked her backstory to the excuse. Of all the ones we've had so far, I think that's been the most believable explanation.
There's much more to holding down a cover story than I had anticipated. For me, doing terribly has the ramification of I may be going home, not completing the SOE training. For an actual SOE agent who is in occupied France, their ramification is they are probably going to be shot or tortured.
But it wasn't just their own lives at stake if an agent did crack and gave the Nazis details of their contacts. An entire network of undercover operatives and resistance fighters could be compromised. Agents were told they had to hold out for at least 48 hours, the time needed for their network to realize they were missing and disperse. But at the hands of the Nazi interrogators, 48 hours could be a very long time.
This is your last chance. What were you doing in the headquarters? You have a tongue.
I was frightened for my job.
Why were you frightened for your job?
We thought we were to be sacked.
Why were you rifling through papers in the headquarters?
To see if I was to be sacked.
I'm inclined to think that he's playing a long game here.
Yeah.
He's letting enough slip out to keep it going for an extended period. If that's the case, then that's really rather clever.
Interrogation's over. Colonel Wheel has some difficult decisions to make.
Finishing school's been excellent in refining our opinion of how trainable the students are. Most of them have met the grade. In fact, they've been outstanding. 2 of them have not met the grade and will not be going on to the final scheme.
Bazaj, come with me, please.
Bajaj hasn't been able to assimilate the practical skills necessary to operate as a field agent for SOE. She struggled with lockpicking and really didn't perform as well as the others during the interrogation phase.
Unsuitable students could be asked to leave at any time.
Ali.
Students would see their friends beside them one day, and the next, they were gone.
Ali hasn't met the standard because of aspects of his personality.
Follow me, as you are.
He does not respond well to failure or his own perception of failure, and that would be infectious in any group that he was involved with.
When they came and took Rahini in the early hours of this morning, were you all awake as well? Just
Yes.
Yeah.
Where do you think she can be taken?
The remaining trainees have woken to find 2 of their fellow students gone.
Bit unsettling, to be fair. I think we're all expecting, I was thinking, well, Sammy's been taken, who's next?
It could be that they didn't pass the interrogation part, and that was just their way of taking them out of training and at the same time setting us all on edge a little bit more.
In 1943, SOE had managed to strike heavy blows against the Nazis. But these victories had come at a price. Many agent networks had been destroyed, with SOE's French section among the worst hit. Scores of highly trained agents had been arrested, tortured, and killed. But despite the struggles, there was a light on the horizon. With Allied plans for the invasion to liberate Europe taking shape, SOE were preparing for their biggest operation yet.
The 6 of you have now successfully completed the core SOE syllabus, so you can feel very proud of yourselves. But your training is not over yet.
The countdown to D-Day had begun. As the students enjoy one last breakfast in uniform, the instructors are preparing to put them through the final stage of their training. By early 1944, the war was well into its 4th year. Millions had already lost their lives in what would become the deadliest conflict in human history. But the tide had turned against the Nazi Empire. They'd suffered heavy losses in the east, and the Allies were making plans to break back into Europe. By now, SOE had trained thousands of agents, many of whom were attacking the enemy regime in over 20 countries. With D-Day on the horizon, SOE was preparing to support the invasion in any way they could. Of the 14 civilians who started selection and training, 3 men and 3 women have stayed the course.
Well, good morning. The 6 of you have now successfully completed the core SOE syllabus, but your training is not over yet. At this stage, SOE agents would have been tested on all of the training that they'd received in one comprehensive package. They called it the final scheme.
For many students, SOE's final scheme was the last big test they faced before being deployed on real missions. Sent undercover into towns. They were given a dummy mission, such as stealing plans from a factory or planting fake explosives at busy railway junctions. All in a bid to see if they could put what they'd learned in training into practice.
The situation. The Allied invasion of France, D-Day, is rapidly approaching.
For their final scheme, the grounds of the finishing school will double as occupied France.
And I wish you the best of luck.
They'll be using the French identities given to them during training. And just like their 1940s counterparts, they'll be expected to maintain their cover at all times.
I imagine the final scheme is going to be a really difficult mission. We're going to have to think tactically and on our feet and very quickly. So the only way that we're going to succeed is if we are all completely and utterly focused right from the start.
They'll be split into 2 groups. Both have different objectives, but will rely on each other to succeed. Will Beresford Davis, Lizzie Jeffries, and Magda Thomas will make up the sabotage team. Their primary objective is to blow up a telephone exchange, testing their intelligence gathering skills and explosives knowledge.
I'm not sure what to expect because we've learned so much, so probably we'll have to use all the skills we acquired. I'm not sure if there will be weapons. We just have to rely on what we learned, but also rely on our intuition.
The rest, Debbie Clitheroe, Rob Copsey and Alistair Stanley, form the wireless team.
They have to communicate with HQ to arrange the explosives for the telephone exchange attack, testing their skills in Morse code and fieldcraft. They'll use any remaining explosives to blow up a tree that will block a key road. Overall, the mission will test the coordination, sabotage, and communication skills required of agents on the ground.
There's a lot of scope for things to go wrong, and this final stage seems like it's all or nothing, really.
Agents arriving in France would often be dropped in the middle of nowhere and expected to find their way to a pre-arranged location. To mirror these conditions, the teams are being dropped deep in the grounds of the school to test their navigation skills. They'll be observed throughout by instructors Nicky Moffat and Mike Rennie.
Thank you.
Your mission begins now.
You've done this in training, and you can do this now here on the final scheme. Good luck.
Thank you, Ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, right, so first thing, figure out where we are.
Yeah.
Rob Copsey will lead the wireless team.
There's a crossroads here, we're at the grounds of the house. It wouldn't be unusual for someone to be looking at a map to see where they're at.
Their first objective is to navigate to a safe house 2 miles away to stash their radio equipment.
You're going to go on ahead. Signals as we discussed.
Will Beresford Davies has been made leader of the sabotage team.
Mike and I will form a sort of group behind. We're going to look like civilians rather than people creeping about. All right, everyone okay?
Let's do this.
Let's crack on. After you.
They need to find their way back to the main house and find plans of the telephone exchange they're targeting. But before they can begin, the priority for both groups is to establish their location and agree a cover story.
Hiding in plain sight, remember?
Which could be tested at any time by instructors posing as the enemy.
The fact that they've decided to stroll as if civilians down a track is maybe a good idea. The garb they're in, trying to hide in the woods and through fields and things, might have actually been a bit more conspicuous.
To move around the French countryside without arousing suspicion, SOE agent Pearl Witherington claimed to be a travelling cosmetics rep. Agent Brian Stonehouse used his peacetime career as a professional artist as his own cover story in France. He hid his wireless set inside a box of paints. Rob Copsey has opted for the cover of Amateur Naturalist, although they've yet to move away from their drop point.
Do you think we're possibly on this bridle
We've
path?
come past the timber yard.
I thought they were a little bit slow initially, discussing issues, standing very much in plain sight in the middle of a road.
We came this way, we went this way. Well, I think we know from the river where we are.
They've got a good cover story, which is that they're bird watchers.
Alphonse, can you hear the birds?
It's useful to have something like that, but I think they look a bit odd, frankly.
Let's get the compass out.
You got yours, Lisa?
Not very conspicuous. We need to hurry up. Maybe I should just step out and you maybe having just a little relieving yourself.
Both teams have a button compass and a silk map of the grounds.
We go down here, we're going to come over a stream and then we're going to have a ride.
SOE agents used these because they could be easily hidden in the lining of their clothes.
Let's get to that safe house as quickly as we can.
I might follow on a little behind you guys.
On the other side of the estate, Will's team are already back in view of the main house. Now they need to get past the guards.
Someone there. Someone in uniform.
The nature of SOE's missions meant that agents couldn't always avoid contact with the enemy.
Have you seen anyone moving or not?
Often they had to work right under the Nazis' noses. Agent Michael Trotobus was tasked with sabotaging a locomotive works in northern France. By impersonating a Gestapo officer, he convinced the guards that he needed to search the area and secretly planted explosives causing significant damage. Leaving Magda to keep watch, Will and Lizzie make their approach. Their instructions are to sneak into an office and steal plans that detail the location of their target, a telephone exchange. But there's an unexpected hitch. The office is occupied.
This team was told that there'll be nobody in the office. This is a typical SOE tactic, just to keep them on their toes.
Will's team face a choice. Neutralize the clerk and risk raising the alarm, or wait it out. Rob's wireless team are finally approaching the safe house.
It's clear. Let's go.
A signal such as an upturned plant pot would be used to let agents know if a property was safe to enter. Safe houses could be any unused building, but flats, farms, and even doctors' surgeries were offered up by brave and willing locals. Where stranded Allied airmen, resistance fighters, and secret agents were afforded sanctuary and help. Those who sheltered people did so at enormous personal risk. If discovered, properties could be destroyed and those involved arrested or executed. Rob's wireless team now have to focus on their next objective.
It's 20 to 5.
Right, we've got
So
a
17
copy.
minutes.
That's your message at 7.
Okay, so yeah.
Sending a coded message to HQ at 1900 hours requesting explosives. But first, they need confirmation that the other team are ready to proceed.
We need to get to the stables now, don't we, to get the drop point.
A message confirming that Will's team have the plans to the telephone exchange is due to be left in a pre-arranged location known as a dead drop.
Because I thought we were going to set up the radio.
I think you guys can do that. I can go and do that.
And
I can do this. Yeah. Just gonna... The plan is for me to leave the safe house. So I'm now going to be at risk. I'm looking for a message from the other team, and hopefully that will confirm that they are ready.
1900. You need to send the message, so you've got to be back.
As well as being a highly trained athlete, maths graduate Alistair was the standout student in Morse training. He's already preparing the message they expect to send at 1900 hours.
Message begins. Both teams in position. Request explosives drop from both missions. Message ends. We're a bit time constrained to send the message.
Yeah.
About 2 hours.
Yeah.
Let's get us back as fast as possible.
Yeah. See you soon. Marianne.
Bonne journée.
Alphonse.
Stay safe.
They've lost some time, but for Will's sabotage team, patience has paid off. The office is now unoccupied and they can try to steal the plans to the telephone exchange. But they need to work fast, securing the plans and getting their message to the others in time for the 1900 transmission. During training, Lizzie has excelled in almost every discipline, including lockpicking.
You aware of your time? She spent an inordinate amount of time trying to get the lock picked. And when things aren't going the way that you expect them to, you need to step back and replan and come up with an alternative course of action.
Which one are you doing?
After almost half an hour, Will takes over. "5:30 p.m. Former paratrooper Rob has reached the location where the message from the sabotage team should be hidden.
I'm looking for something that's different, a log, hopefully with a message within it.
A dead drop was a pre-arranged place to leave a message, made more covert by SOE's ingenious gadgets like modified corks, fake keys, and hollow rocks. But these were more than just spy toys. Dead drops kept SOE operatives apart, which kept them safe. By limiting face-to-face meetings, SOE agents were less likely to compromise each other if captured and tortured.
Nothing inside it, so I'm gonna have to wait.
Without confirmation from the others, there's little Rob can do.
I had 2 hours, if that, to get down here, find it, understand the message, and get back. So the clock is ticking.
Back at the safe house, concerns are growing.
Any sign from Joseph?
No sign from Joseph yet.
Question is, second in
How long
command.
do we leave it?
Do we wait for him? Because I was hoping 40 minutes is about the right amount of time to get up there and get set up. Ideally, I want to leave about now.
All too aware that the other team are waiting for them, Will Beresford Davies has resorted to Plan B.
OK, a bit of urgency, Miss Jeffries. Come on, we haven't got time.
It's a gamble, but having abandoned stealth, they quickly find the telephone exchange plans. Now, they need to let Rob's team know they have their target. But time is running out.
I think we have to assume that something's gone wrong.
OK.
He's either gone down hiding or he's been captured.
What if he's not back by 1900 hours?
If he's not back by 1900 hours, we're going to have to send the message and get the drop zone for the explosives.
What message are you going to send?
Same message, or should I quickly write one?
I'm just trying to think.
Plans going awry on a final scheme provided instructors with useful insight into how students might react to problems in the field. Will, Lizzie and Magda finally arrive at the dead drop. To avoid compromising the other team, Rob stays out of sight. Rob has the message, confirming that the other team have the plans, but still over a mile away, he has to hope that Debbie and Alistair have decided to press ahead. They're now the only ones who can keep the mission alive. The enemy could trace wireless broadcasts, so they've opted for the nearby countryside rather than compromise the safe house.
Sending the message without being spotted is crucial. If we're spotted, they'll take the antenna and the equipment, and that's it, mission's failed.
So do you want to set up the radio and I'll get the aerial set?
Yeah, definitely.
SOE networks relied heavily on their wireless operators. As D-Day approached, they would provide a crucial link enabling coordinated action.
Tune the frequency.
5.2 to 5.9, 5.3 to 5.5.
OK, let's have a listen.
A month ago, Alistair didn't know any Morse.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, right, OK.
Sending.
Now, the whole scheme will fail if he can't send the message accurately and on time. At HQ, Lieutenant Colonel Wheel is waiting for the message.
Last letter. Transmission complete.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, the message we got was, message begins, only Team J in position, request explosives drop for both missions, message ends. A few wrong letters there. We've got a V for a U, We've had to move things around a little bit to make it make sense, but nevertheless, it's all there.
Quick, quick, quick.
Okay.
They've sent their message and are now expecting a reply at the scheduled time of 19:30.
Time check. 10 past, 19:10.
Incoming wireless transmissions couldn't be traced by the enemy, so they returned to the relative security of the safe house.
Please let him be there, please let him be there. Start setting up, I'll have a look. Gutted. Really gutted. I was expecting him to be sat there going.
You're taking over?
Yeah, I'm taking over now. He could have been taken. We've just got to forget about him just for now. We've got to get on with this. Would it be better if I stood on the box and held it higher?
Surrounded by buildings, they need to get the aerial up high for it to work.
Okay, transmission received. Yeah, didn't get all of it.
They have the time that the explosives will be dropped, but only half the coordinates.
7045. Location. This could be in location.
As darkness falls, Will's team need to find somewhere to shelter for the night.
You all right?
Yes, cozy.
That's one word for it. The mission hasn't exactly gone to plan so far. We got stuck with an unpickable lock, and I kicked the door in. Not a very subtle SOE tactic. I think we need to be a bit more careful. Like that was not great.
Not being able to pick the lock is a failure on my part, which I'm kicking myself about because my one job was to pick the lock and I couldn't. So I'm definitely getting a sense of how hard these missions really must have been for the SOE agents.
Oh my God. Get in here.
How are you?
What happened?
I've been waiting for ages.
Did you get the message?
I've got a message.
We got the message back about the parachute drop site.
Yep.
45 east, but latitude was unintelligible.
So 70 lines here.
Yeah.
And 45 in. They can really be anywhere in a corridor along here, couldn't it? In reality. Let's hope we get lucky.
Oh, awesome.
The final scheme gave students a taste of what it was like to operate in the field, away from the support of a training school.
Can I just bite it? Does that work?
Yeah, just like bite it like a sandwich, yeah, why not?
Why, you're vegetarian? I'm a vegan. I decided when I started this that I wouldn't be fussy. I wouldn't stick to my vegan diet because you couldn't in wartime.
This is not meat.
It's not meat?
No, I don't believe that any part of this ever walked around in mood.
This is the food they would eat, and they would often probably be not in such comfortable position as we are because we have a lot of blankets.
Magda Thomas had relatives in the Polish resistance.
Probably they would just have their coats to cover themselves. It must have been tough.
It's probably not an unrealistic situation the SOE agent would have been in, where they were right next to the enemy, and at any moment you know that the enemy could find you.
And no one's coming to help you. You haven't got your buddies to look out for you. Impressive kind of courage to do that.
Tomorrow, they'll be expected to put all of their training into practice, executing their most complex mission to date. It's 6:30 a.m. Explosives were often parachuted into agents, so Rob's team set off to find their drop zone. But with only half the coordinates, it's a wide search area. Will's team also depend on their success. They need some of the explosives in order to take out the telephone exchange.
Because we had no breakfast this morning.
You sure? Let's go. Watch out for the...
Are they going to drop it? Are they going to drop it? Keep an eye out. Can we see?
Rob's team are searching the grounds, but even with the right coordinates, the accuracy of a supply drop was never guaranteed, and containers frequently went off course.
Ben comes around, we're coming into the area now.
In Poland alone, around a third of all material parachuted in failed to reach the resistance. As the anticipated Allied invasion drew nearer, SOE stepped up its efforts to supply and coordinate resistance activities.
You know what? I think we see it.
Let's be quick.
Before and after D-Day, they dropped arms and explosives into France on an unprecedented scale. In total, around 10,000 tons of supplies were dropped into France by SOE.
Okay, explosives. We need to go.
SOE protocol was to bury or conceal the parachute and move away from the drop zone as quickly as possible. Waiting for news at the dead drop are Will's sabotage team.
Got goods. Meet at safe house. At the moment, we don't have a safe house, so I don't know where that is.
It says T.
T1, yeah.
T1.
Or TY.
Or TY. It's TY.
TY, okay.
Timber Yard.
It could be Timber Yard.
Timber Yard.
That's the only TY on the map, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we'd better get moving.
Right.
Because we're running out of time.
Will, Lizzie and Magda are on their way to the rendezvous to collect their explosives. But during the final scheme, instructors were keen to remind students of the importance of a solid cover story.
Stop there. I'm a French policeman. Papers? What's your name?
Elodie Julien,
Date of birth?
22nd of November, 1918.
Where were you born?
Châteauroux.
Your name?
Jacqueline Armand,
Where were you born?
in Rotterdam.
Your name?
Stefan Latour.
Where are you going to?
Well, we're actually...
Oh, well, I've lost my dog. And
You lost your dog?
Yes, I'm visiting my uncle here. So just this gentleman kindly agreed to help me.
Where have you come from?
I've come from Orléans. I was on holiday from my course in Paris, my law course. And
Where are you staying in Orléans?
At the hotel by the Gare.
What's in your bag?
My hat.
So where are you heading to now?
Well, we thought we'd head round towards, I think there's a large house there. There's a chance that the dog might have gone there.
Okay. Right. Generally speaking, they were okay. They remembered their cover stories.
We did well there. We just need to keep calm.
Jeffries, she's a little taciturn, and that's the kind of thing that causes suspicion amongst security officials if they stop somebody and they don't seem to want to talk. But we know that's Jeffries' character.
I think we just keep searching for the dog until we're certain he's gone, and hopefully, in the course of that, we'll find the others.
Thomas was pretty good. So she managed to convey a certain amount of emotion about losing her dog.
Okay.
There was a little bit of backstory there. She looked convincing. She sounded about right. So I was happy with that. Beresford Davis spoke reasonably well.
Do you have family in the resistance? When we were giving that cover story to the policeman, I had I think my great-grandfather, where he had to try and switch suitcases because he was carrying two of them on a train, and one was full of guns and the other one wasn't.
Will's great-grandfather operated near Saint-Étienne, tracking German troop movements and plotting ambushes.
I do have a great understanding, just because of all the tiny details you'd have to remember, things that would give you away.
By the spring of 1944, The Allies were growing in confidence, and the German army was on the back foot. Everyone in France knew D-Day was coming. The question was when. Agents in the field had to hold their nerve and wait for word from Britain. They, alongside thousands of resistance fighters, were poised for action. Will's team finally make it to the safe house.
One, two, three, four, six.
Big for fuse just to get it done quickly.
Yeah, got match. Make sure it matches on me.
Okay.
Oh, Stefan, welcome.
Coco.
Bonjour, Stefan.
Okay.
Jacqueline.
Oh.
Mwah.
The teams need to divide the explosives. They have just 2 hours left to complete their missions.
Okay, let me tell you what we've got at the moment. At the moment, what we've prepped. We've got, this is all the cortex at the moment.
Half must blow up the telephone exchange. The rest will fell a tree to block a key road.
We've got one large charge ready for you, and there's still a stick of PE ready to go.
But working with explosives is so dangerous that the ones the students will handle are dummy charges.
So now we listen for the proceed signal.
Proceed signal.
Before they can carry out their orders, they need to listen to the radio for a hidden signal known as an action message.
We don't want to miss this.
What's the message you're waiting for?
Les poireaux sont longs et frises. The leeks are long and curly.
Radio Londres was a BBC French language service broadcast to occupied Europe during the war. SOE's first wireless operator in France, Georges Béguet, had the idea of using it to send coded messages to agents on the ground. The station identified itself using a short excerpt from Beethoven's Fifth, the first 4 notes of which were Morse for the letter V for victory.
Ici Londres. La mouche bourdonne et fait la navette. Le disons 2 fois. Les poireaux sont longs et frisés.
That's it.
On the night of 5th June, hours before D-Day, Radio Londres broadcast more than 100 unique action messages to waiting SOE networks. This would be the zenith of SOE's work in France. The organisation had started from scratch in 1940 in a makeshift office. Now, 4 years later, all across France, networks were poised for unified action. Rob's team's orders are typical of those issued to agents at the time. Use explosives to bring down a tree and block a key road.
This is really nerve-wracking, extremely nerve-wracking. This is the most important part of the mission now.
Debbie is a drama teacher with no military training, but throughout the process she's defied expectations and performed well.
I'm feeling how the SOE agents must have felt, how scary. Every tree branch that clicks, you're like... You are on your own, and you realised how lonely and important it was for you to be able to do all the skills we've learned. Everything's coming together.
Yeah, start chopping, make the groove here. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. We need to be quick.
While Rob's team prep the tree, the others take on their main objective, destroying the telephone exchange.
Right, let's be really careful. Stay in cover when you're not moving, stay low.
But first they need to make a plan and decide what to do about the guard.
There's a sentry.
Can we get past to that next building without him seeing us?
Yeah.
We know the position of one sentry, but we haven't seen past him.
Yeah, go around the back.
It's one thing to read about attacks and so on that they did and hiding out. You don't really understand it until you actually go and have a go. You need to get really low here, okay? And then you realise that they would have been stressed out and tired and hungry, but you can feel that you've got the weight of a gun in your pocket. You know that you're going to have to also start potentially blowing up and killing people.
Lizzie, I want you to run at him when he's facing the other way and stopped. You're going to run at him, try and take him out quietly. The guy turns around even a little bit and looks like he's going to see us. You shoot him straight away. And Lizzie, you get the hell out of the way.
Yeah.
Safety tab off. Give us smack. Let's go.
It's taken Rob's team 8 minutes to rig the tree. For safety, experts replaced the dummy explosives with live charges. On the 6th of June 1944, the Allied invasion of France finally began. It was the largest amphibious assault in military history. Around 7,000 ships, supported by over 11,000 aircraft, landed over 150,000 British, American and Canadian troops along a 50-mile stretch of coast. This signalled the start of intensive and coordinated sabotage by SOE on a grand scale. While Lizzie makes her approach, Rob's team's blast blocks the road.
All right, well done. Come on.
With Lizzie having successfully snuck up on the guard, they complete their mission. And make their escape.
Let's go.
In the days after D-Day, SOE led disruption of German reinforcements by attacking roads, railways and communication lines. On the night of D-Day, the French resistance carried out 950 disruptions to the railway alone. Travelling north by road was equally arduous for the Germans, as resistance fighters carried out coordinated ambushes on their convoys. The 2nd SS Panzer Division, based on Toulouse, should have reached Normandy in 3 days. Instead, it took 16. One estimate is that a total of 8 German divisions were kept from ever reaching the Allied invasion fronts after D-Day.
Well done, guys, well done.
Training is over.
That was a really great experience. It's a relief to finish. Well, we think we're finished.
Mission accomplished.
Yes, sir.
Here we go.
Thank you, sir.
The purpose of this project really was to resurrect the SOE syllabus, but I think the last few weeks will have changed all of these students quite considerably, particularly Jeffries, who was almost mouse-like when she arrived.
What has changed above all is probably my self-confidence. Apparently there was something in me that would have been passable for the SOE training, and given how astonishing the SOE agents were, if I have even the slightest bit of me is similar to what they were like, then yeah, okay, maybe I can do something.
When they walked in on day one, I think that many people, and perhaps us included, would not have thought at that point that they were going to be likely SOE agents. People that have seen it through to the end here are those who've got real strength of character.
Gonna be really sad going home. I don't feel like I'm the same person anymore. On paper, I am the most unlikely candidate. I'm a grandmother. I think there's lots of women out there that have gone through so much in their lives and, like me, probably would never ever imagine that they could do something like this. And they probably can.
We had our training. Are we 100% prepared? No, we make mistakes, as they did then. And they were just not polished diamonds, they were just very rough diamonds, I have to say. After completing this training, I don't feel prepared to be SOE agent, but I think I could be. They were just people who learned some skills and wanted to do something for their country.
Through training and guidance, seemingly ordinary people can do extraordinary things.
To try and replicate what resistance fighters, like my ancestors, might have been going through. It makes the words, on the pages of a history book, it brings them alive. It's a very special kind of bravery to stand completely alone.
Magda's great-aunt worked for the Polish resistance until her arrest in May 1941. The day of her execution, she wrote a letter to her family.
My beloved parents and siblings, my hour has come. Today, on the 3rd of May, 1943, I have to part with the world. I ask you all just one thing. Be now as strong as I am. It will bring me relief. Thank you for everything you did for me. Do not be sad, but pray for me, and I will go away calmly. Forgive me if I was a cause of concerns. God will repay you for that. When I will stand in front of Him, I will pray for you as well. Live happily. Irena Piwarska. So, I'm really proud of my auntie. That she had such a dignity. Because, we women are strong. And we can go through many things.
Congratulations on reaching the end of your final scheme and indeed of the training course as a whole. Well done, you've all passed. It's worth remembering that SOE candidates at this stage still had a choice as to whether they went into the field or not. They were all volunteers and they could withdraw at any time. So they did have a choice. And I wonder how many of you think you would have chosen to go on. What we've seen in all of you is the spark that you probably would have succeeded. So very well done.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Very impressive performance. Well done.
By the end of the war, SOE had recruited, trained and equipped over 9,000 agents.
We've managed it, we've made it, we've got to the finish line. But for the agents training, that was the beginning of what could be months and years of never being able to relax, really, and always having one eye behind you.
When I go home, I'm going to spend pretty much every day thinking about this place. But I know that I've had the honour of experiencing the SOE training, and I'm fortunate that I'm going home afterwards.
Though its impact is not easy to quantify, it has been said that SOE's contribution shortened the war against Germany by as much as 6 months. During the darkness of Nazi occupation, SOE's agents brought hope and inspire resistance until liberation was finally achieved.